Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I wanted to tell you about our friends over at Streetside Brewery. My goodness, a FC Cincinnati pub partner, an amazing local brewery, a fantastic place to grab a drink, grab a bite to eat, enjoy the good times. It's perfect. I know that is my all-time favorite place to watch FC Cincinnati games, and that is why I would recommend you go there this weekend. FC Cincinnati kicks off against New York Red Bulls, 7:30 p.m. Go to Streetside, check them out, okay? It's a good time. I think you'll have a lot of fun. It's the second to last game of the year, so you might as well go watch it somewhere that loves FC Cincinnati as much as you do. So a huge thank you to Streetside Brewery for sponsoring this episode, and thank you, dear listener, for supporting them. And on today's episode, well, look, last time out, I was very positive, very upbeat about the team. And I don't know if my co-hosts share the same opinion. So we had a little further conversation about where this team is now that we're nearing the end of the regular season. How do we view this team? How do we view the postseason for this team? And if things aren't exactly what we thought they would be, why not? What is different with this team versus where we thought it would be, and maybe where we think it still should be? Is it more on the roster construction side of things, or is it more in how the players are being set up? We wrap it up in part two by looking ahead to the weekend matchup against the New York Red Bulls. They're out of the playoff hunt. I don't know how much they're going to care, but it is still plenty to play for FC Cincinnati. What does this team look like? Who plays in this game? Who travels for this game? We try to tackle it all. And when you put all of that together, you get yourselves a fantastic little postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I am once again joined by my friends, joined by Grayson, but maybe more importantly, we are rejoined by the Chief. Chief, how was Germany?
I made a video while I was over there that I ended up not posting because I didn't look as sober as I probably would like to be on the internet. What it was, the sentiment was this, is that so I was there. It was a trip a couple friends and I had planned for a really long time, and schedules and life kept getting in the way. And we finally made good on it that we wanted to go to Oktoberfest in Munich. And I went there with the thought that Cincinnati is universally acknowledged as the second biggest Oktoberfest in the world.
Yes.
Kind of curious to see what number one looks like. We've got a long way to go if we want to challenge for the throne. If we're good being number two, that's a perfectly fine place to be. But if the goal would be to someday be like, hey, we want to be mentioned in the same breath as the original, we got a lot of things to work on between now and then. It was a good time, though. Happy to be back.
What is the biggest difference between the Cincinnati Oktoberfest and what you might find out in Munich?
Mostly that they call them fest halls, where each individual brewer sets up a tent where you have one choice of beer. It's Oktoberfest. Just, would you like a beer? Yes or no. It's a binary choice. It's not, I'll sample the IPA, or what do you have in a light beer? It's just, I would like a beer. And one of those tents in the surrounding beer gardens would be bigger than all of Oktoberfest in Cincinnati. And there's like 15 or 16 of them.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what was fun, though? I did bump into you make lots of friends over there, especially when you sort of stick out of a crowd like I do, and you invest in a hat with a giant feather adding another foot to your height. You do tend to attract attention. But while I was in Munich, I did meet a fellow Cincinnatian who was wearing FC Cincinnati hat. So
Nice.
if after that conversation you've decided to become one of the 12, I'm so sorry for your decision. And I did not advertise the podcast. One of the other people that I was with was like, "Oh, he does a podcast about this." I was like, "Just shut up, man. Be cool. We're having a good interaction. We don't need to get into this at all."
Yeah, that is a very awkward thing in our lives. Where, oh, you like soccer? Oh, my buddy likes soccer. Like, please play it cool,
stop.
man.
Please stop, man. Like nobody. This was a fun interaction that we had outside the Bayern Munich store. Like, we're cool. We don't need to do this. I don't think.
I like it. Okay, so giant tents. I think we can
giant
do
tents, lots of food, and just more people than you can possibly imagine attending any sort of a gathering. And I say this as someone who's been to Mardi Gras multiple times before. So it was good. It was fun. I did pick up a life tip for travel as a grown adult. If you're traveling with other grown adults, steal your kid's Nintendo and bring that with you on the trip. We got into a couple rounds of drunken Mario Kart and also Mario Kart on the train. And if you wonder if, once you reach a certain age, the competitive spirit still flows when you hit your buddy with a blue shell and win a race, the answer is unequivocally yes. And you know what? I don't care about getting looks either. Yeah, I'm a grown adult playing Mario Kart on a train between Frankfurt and Munich. Deal with it. It's phenomenal. And if you don't like it, talk to the guy sitting behind me who I'm absolutely waxing as Waluigi and see if he's having a better time.
I love it, Chief. That is a great tip. Did you learn anything about the footy while you were over there? Did we pick up any Euro snobisms? Any new lifelong fan commitments to Bayern Munich that you've decided to adopt?
No, they have a great team store, which I think we could use more of, the superstore team store concept over there. And they sell Bayern Munich branded lederhosen specifically for Oktoberfest, which you can own for the low price of €750.
Oh,
yeah. And
I think you can buy just a cow for that.
Hashtag not to get political. If you haven't looked at the exchange rate right now between the dollar and the euro, don't. That is a very expensive pair of Adidas and Bayern Munich branded lederhosen. I didn't see anyone walking out of the store with that one, sadly, so I can't really comment as to whether or not they were flying off the shelves or not. But if the FC wanted to, for the Oktoberfest Cincinnati, offer some, FC inspired Oktoberfest gear, I'd partake if it was, more reasonably priced. I thought that was a cool idea.
I think that makes sense. Grayson, would you wear FC branded lederhosen?
No.
Oh, I really thought that would be your speed.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it seemed like a you thing.
Nah, I'm good.
Grayson, what is like the weirdest or even tchotchkiest like piece of FC memorabilia you have?
Whatever they've given us for the season ticket holder member
season ticket holder gifts.
And as far as I can tell, the primary purpose of all of them is for it to be held up to me and me asked, where is its home?
Right. Where does this go?
Look, I love the wife. Not everything needs a home. Sometimes it can just live with us. It doesn't need to have a specific spot in the house. Its home is wherever it finds itself at any given moment. It might be on top of a shelf. It might be on my desk. It might be still in the box, sitting by the door. But we don't have to decide where it lives yet. It doesn't need a forever home.
I appreciate the desire to live in kind of an orderly way.
Sure.
And not to have like clutter in your way. But I do think that we can extrapolate this out to kind of larger world problems in the sense of if something is not currently in your way, do you need to like go like still butt into whether it's in the place that it should be? Like if it's not literally bothering you or in your way at the moment, who cares if it's in the right spot?
Right.
Mm.
And as
let it be.
And as so many of us have noted that have taken a history class growing up in this country, sometimes if you stay somewhere long enough, it just becomes your place.
Yeah. I don't know where its home is. It's there right now.
It's right, exactly right. It's been there for a while.
Seems happy there.
It's planting roots. There's a second
Maybe
generation.
Maybe just let it stay.
Looks great there.
This scarf has learned our language, honey. We have to keep it.
I mean, at this point, it's hard to imagine the play here without it.
Right. You can't even imagine the before times.
It's like the Florence Y'all water tower, where it's like, I'm sure it looked weird the first time you drove by it. And I'm sure you made fun of it the first time you saw it. But now, would you really want to live in a tri-state area that didn't have the Florence Y'all water tower? I wouldn't.
No, it has inspired a great independent baseball team name. It is a part of our culture now, and I like it. It's good. Way better than Florence Freedom. Florence Y'all's is so good.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Chief, I'm glad you're back. Grayson, I'm glad you're back, because I took the opportunity last week or Monday or whatever to go really gentle on the team while you two weren't here to yell at me for doing so, which means, in a way, I would like to turn almost the rest of this episode over to you two to explain and tell me, not even explain, because I know why I'm wrong, but just to elaborate on why we feel the way we feel about our favorite soccer team right now, because this is a weird time where the team is in a good position on the table, has a couple of decent results you can look at here and there that could convince you that this is a good team, has certainly moments or even halves of game where this team looks like one of the best teams ever assembled. And yet it doesn't seem to always live up to that billing, particularly when let's say we enter crunch time, right? When the rubber meets the road, when we run against a must-win game, we haven't seen it this year. So what's wrong with this team?
I think Chief is going to have more to say than me, because I've kind of mellowed on the topic a bit.
Fair.
Just because it feels like we've had the same discussion like
a year,
a million times. And I don't really understand. I think that there's like an undeniable truth about the team, and I don't understand how anybody can disagree with it. And it's that it's a highly talented team that plays poorly more often than it plays good. And there could be a whole host of reasons for that, but if you want to, and the thing that I point to, and others, MLS national media have pointed this out too, is just they get killed on the underlying numbers. Like just that Orlando game, on paper they got their ass kicked.
Yeah.
Okay. They're about as good as Montreal on the XG table, which is not flattering to Montreal. It's unflattering to FC Cincinnati. But they're a good team because they have good players on it, and they can outperform how they play. I thought that the way Matt Doyle described the team in his column this week was like not just dead on, but absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
To if you're professionals and you're like, well, and you're thinking, well, are we putting ourselves in the best position to succeed? It's basically they're putting themselves in a terrible position to succeed in all phases of the game.
Yes.
And despite that, they're able to generate results, not always more convincing results. I mean, still, I think, not scored 4 in a game this year, but they've given up 4 multiple times.
Yeah.
They haven't like blown anybody out this year, but they've been blown out a few times. But all this is to say that, like, I believe in the talent on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly the starting 11 and a number of the subs. And then you, like Kevin, you even mentioned this, you get Miazga coming back, you get Obi coming back. The team hopefully is going to be more healthy in the playoffs than it's been all year. Like even if they don't play better, they have the ability to beat anybody. And they could start playing better anytime. And if they don't play well until game 1 of the playoffs, and then they play well the rest of the playoffs, I would expect them to just romp through everybody.
Right. It should be a pretty easy run to the final at a minimum.
But like we've kind of known what the team is for a long time, and you can say, well, what matters, the table or the underlying numbers? And I think the truth is both, because the table says, well, can you win the supporter shield, and what's your playoff seeding going to be? And the underlying numbers kind of give a sense of how likely are they going to make a run in the playoffs. I mean, Miami got killed by the underlying numbers last year, overperformed by a tremendous amount, and lost to Atlanta in the first round.
Yeah.
So that's small sample size, but like, I think
similarly, Austin and St. Louis's first expansion years, they way outperformed their underlying numbers through the regular season. Incredibly
Lost
disappointing. Yeah.
Right. But that makes all the sense. That makes all the sense in the world, though, because when we talk about underlying numbers, I want to make sure everybody's on the same page about this. When you talk about the XG table, it's basically a simple thing it's talking about is, do you create high quality scoring chances? Do you get the ball into high quality and dangerous scoring chances? And do you give up high quality scoring chances to the other side? And, you can outperform that over the course of a 34 game schedule. But when you're playing other teams that by necessity are by definition are better at converting good opportunities and better at defending bad opportunities, that's why you see these teams wash out in the playoffs, that all of a sudden the wide open look that Evander gets from a low XG opportunity, that's not there, or there's a keeper that's going to be able to save that. And all of a sudden the wide open look you give another team 5 feet from goal at the back post, it's going to someone that's a goal scorer and not someone who, is a U22 or an academy kid playing on a bottom of the table team. So yeah, I get there's a certain attitude of games not played on a spreadsheet, mate, but these numbers are what they are for a reason. And it's why, you can't say anything about them other than, they have predictive value because they've been shown to have predictive value. And in this league in particular, in the recent history of this league, they've had great predictive value in terms of who goes on and wins in single elimination and playoff settings.
And most of the good teams have good XG differentials. They're putting up games where they are straight up outperforming their opponents in the sense of chances created versus chances given up. And so like, we could be an outlier there. And you could just say like, this straight up doesn't matter, right? You could either say it's fake and made up, or you could say like Evander breaks XG, or our defense is so good at blocking shots that it doesn't matter where the other team gets the ball because they're so good at blocking shots, right?
Yeah.
You can say all that stuff, but like that doesn't change what the numbers themselves say, right? And so like you can be unbothered by it, but you can't change the reality of what those stats say,
Yeah.
And like saying like, oh, we're here on the table or whatever, it doesn't change those stats. And again, I'm not pointing to those to say it invalidates where they are on the standings. I'm pointing to those to say, if you think this is predictive, or correlates to how well a team has performed, it says we have not performed well. Okay.
Right.
But again, we've had these conversations over and over and over again. We kind of, and I still believe in the talent on the team, and they still have a shot at a high playoff seed. They still have a shot at making a run and winning MLS Cup. And, I'm not going to root for them to get a lower seed or root for them to lose in the playoffs just because I think they haven't just because they haven't, I don't think that they performed as well as they could have. But, so I just kind of like, it is what it is. And let's just see where the rest of the season goes.
So, Chief, then, well, let me ask you a quick question. I'll follow it up with the bigger question. Chief, would you agree with Grayson that you believe in the talent on this team?
Yes and no. I believe in the talent on this team, but I think that the way the roster has been constructed, it leaves us susceptible to being broken down over and over again. And I think that form follows function to a certain extent on this, and that this team gets beaten the same way over and over and over again. And I think part of that is that there's a talent deficiency at certain levels of this team. And that's true of every MLS team. It's just you can't in a salary capped league be strong everywhere. I think we've chosen to be weak in some pretty bad areas. But I think that, what you would expect is you'd expect a coaching staff to scheme around that and to figure out a way to maximize the talent that's available to them. So on one hand, I agree with Grayson. I think this is a tremendously talented squad. I think that as we've gone through now 32 of 34 games, I think we can make some statements about the squad that are pretty definitive. I think we can say very definitively that the wingback play has underdelivered spectacularly on this team this year. That when this team has been at its most successful, it's had players like Alvaro Barreal or Santi Arias.
Yep.
Even to a certain extent, Yamil Assad. And I think Luca Orishano this year has been a tremendous disappointment. Yeah, Luca last year. But Luca this year has been a tremendous disappointment. Just from jump, just has never seemed like he's in sync, on track. The league is defending him a lot better. And, it's one of those things like when the league catches up to your fastball, you either show a changeup or you go to the bullpen. And he has, to this point, not shown an ability to do something different than what teams are defending, which is for him to cut back in and look to shoot. And teams are boxing him in and they know how to defend him right now. And it's rendered him virtually ineffective this year. And then on the other side, DeAndre Yedlin is fine when you've got a weapon on the other side and you don't have to rely on him as much. But when he had to pull his load offensively, it was bad. And, we've seen a little bit of Ender Echenike, but he's young. Maybe there's something there in the future. We talked about when we got him that he's a play for next year. He's not a play for this year. They're asking too much of him this year if you're expecting him to be a threat, like game in and game out, especially in the playoffs. So I think that's, in terms of believing in the talent, that's there's talent there for Luca, but he hasn't shown it this year. I think the other thing that we've learned pretty conclusively about this roster is that there simply isn't enough dynamic play in the midfield. I think Pavel is a workhorse. Yeah. I don't think Pavel had as good a year this year as he had last year. He played a lot of minutes, but there's not enough there. If you're only going to have three players in the midfield, he's got to offer something more and something more dynamic. And then the revolving door of Obi, Anunga, and now Guidi a little bit, they just haven't offered enough. And we get just decimated when teams move through the middle. And we've shown very little ability to make, line breaking passes, quick ball movement, playing to space, playing with pace. And a lot of that's on the midfield. And like some of these problems are solvable with different formations, different patterns of play, different tactics involved. But thus far, it's been pounding a round peg into a square hole over and over again with this wing back, three at the back setup that we've got. And yeah, the talent's there. I think there's a lot of these players are talented players, but just the deployment, it seems like it's been ineffective for extremely long stretches of the season. And I don't know I don't know why you would expect it to look different suddenly going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So then that gets to the ultimate question, which is, and the answer is inevitably going to be somewhere in the middle. So I'm not letting anybody take that as a cop-out. We have to assign blame here. Is this more of a Noonan problem, or is this more of an Albright problem?
I think it's it's
The
in the
answer
middle.
is
But if you
both.
have to say what,
The answer is both.
right.
You have to give me somebody to throw into the bus.
I think it's a Noonan problem because, you know, there are talented players on this team, and you have so much money invested in the back line, wing backs, strikers. Like, there has to be something you can do to make this team go. And it's really simple. It's like we were talking about with the underlying metrics. The goal here is generate high quality chances, stop high quality chances from being taken at your goal.
Yeah.
And can you say, I mean, we've watched again 32 of 34 games. Like, what's evolved about this team since day one? Like, if there's something we don't know about it because the guy that's in charge of the team is just addicted to saying patience, which whatever the fuck that means, I don't know. Hold it at the back with the center back longer while nobody makes runs, while balls get played to open space that nobody's running into, or, you know, while we recycle back and forth. I don't know what that means even anymore. And I'd love to get an answer, but we don't get answers to questions like that. They're just sort of brushed aside when they're asked, and there's only a limited amount of time to ask them in this sport. It's why following soccer, I love this sport. I love this league. I love this team. I am frustrated constantly at how much less media scrutiny these teams get than NFL teams do, where that kind of question, you know, or even in college football, where LSU comes off a big win and the first question to Brian Kelly is, why can't your team run the football?
Yeah.
Like, and he bristled at the question, but it got asked. I mean, I would love to know, Pat Noonan, your team is not creating high quality goal scoring opportunities. Why is that? And you can't use the word patience. You have to say something.
Or if it is patience, I don't know. Why haven't
waiting
you
for
taught
what?
them?
What? Waiting for what? Tell me what you're being patient for. And like, if they're not being patient, what is it that you're doing to fix this? If you've been saying it over and over again.
That's what kills me. It's fine if you've identified that as the problem. You identified that as the problem back in March. What have we been doing? Like, did more guys need to be shipped out because they're not following directions? Maybe that's the answer. We've saw a little bit of turnover this summer. I don't know. But at the same time, I think we would generally agree, and I think most outside observers agree, that the talent that has been acquired on the FC Cincinnati roster is very.
Hang on, though. I do want to offer this, though.
Please.
In just to you know, you can say it's Pat Noonan, which to me, that's kind of where I land on the blame scale.
Yeah.
But it's hard to ignore that the further away this team has gotten from the Gerard Niekamp era, where we've gotten transitioned more to Chris Albright's own signings. Like, when was the best this team looked? When it was with Lucho Acosta, Gerard Niekamp signing, Alvaro Barreal, Gerard Niekamp signing, Brandon Vasquez, Gerard Niekamp signing. Like, it's not to say that, like, yeah, Brenner. You know, I'm not saying that Albright's a bad GM, because I think all these players are talented, but like, it's a weird thing a little bit that this team's ability to score goals has decreased with every successive year we've gotten away from those rosters that we had. And I don't know I don't have a good answer to that, because I think Niekamp was a terrible general manager, and I think Albright is a great general manager. I don't know what that means, but it's hard to ignore that the replacements have, even if they've been more talented on paper, but there's no doubting that Kevin Denke is a more talented player than Brandon Vasquez. We've got Brenner back on the damn team now. Like,
right.
I don't know what that means, but it's weird to me.
You're not exactly wrong, you know, but I guess a couple of points on that. Like, one is, if you look at just the last 4 seasons of goals scored, In 2022, the team scored 64 goals. Okay,
It's pretty good.
Gave up 56, but the thing that I think is important to remember about the 2022 team is Obina Wobodo signed in like April,
Right.
like the very end of the window, right? So they went through the first 2.5 months of the season with with Moreno
Yeah.
as like their defensive midfielder. And then they didn't sign Matt Miazga until the end of the summer window. So he didn't join the team until August. All right. So there wasn't like an assembled defense until the end of 2022 when they looked pretty damn good.
Yeah.
You know, they only lost to Philly because a guy who had not scored all year found the back of the net.
Yeah.
You know, they played Philly really strong and they beat Philly, I think, 3-1 in TQL Stadium, you know, in the last couple of months of the season that year. So I think that by the end of 2022, that's a team that they had an assembled attack to start the season, but they didn't really have their defense until August.
Yeah.
And I think that is reflected in the fact they had 64 goals and gave up 56.
Even to add to that, I'm pretty sure it was Harris Medunjanin left in that summer. So you could almost think of Obi as replacing Harris Medunjanin with Junior Moreno alongside him, right?
Yeah. Harris didn't play. I don't remember Harris playing a lot in 22.
That's fair.
They did give him that like farewell when Philly came. In 23, the team scored 57 goals, 7 fewer, but remember Brenner basically wasn't playing in 23. So 22, they had Brenner, Vasquez, and Acosta for most of the season, although Brenner did pout and sit out a little bit at the beginning of that season too. But 23, they didn't have Brenner really at all to start the year. And then Bupenza came in late and kind of scored in fits and starts, but you know, the offensive, but they still put up 57 goals.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of that was helped by players like Barrial and Arias, you know, on the wing backs. In 24, they actually scored one more goal. They scored 58. I haven't looked at this number, but I think I would assume that the 58, that they were scoring better basically through like July.
Yeah.
Than the rest of the year.
I would bet my house on that.
but you know, that team looked great up until when Miazga got hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and then they kind of self-destructed.
Yeah.
At the end of the year. But this year, and again, we still have 2 games left, but this is 48 goals for through 32 games. So we're sitting at 10 fewer than was scored in 24. When we've had the most expensive attack that we've had any of those 4 seasons, and it's been the worst. The defense has been better than last year, much better than 22, a little worse than 23. The defense has been a little bit more consistent, but the offense has seen basically a downward trend each of the 4 years that Noonan and Albright have been in charge.
Yeah. And I don't know what to make of that, you know, because I think the players are getting better. And, you know, the narrative before the start of the year was how much of the offense was just get the ball to Lucho and let Lucho figure it out. And it turns out a lot. But I think that's reductive because I think the quality on the wing, like I said, the quality on the wing back play has decreased markedly. The midfield just hasn't been as strong this year with the play. And just this team, there's no quantifiable number with this. This seems boring to watch a lot on offense. Like there are pockets of exciting play with this team.
Yeah.
But there are like long stretches of just dreadfully dull play. And I where I lean more towards the management on this as well, the tactics on this as well, is this looks like a team that's playing to win every game 1-0. Like just flat out. It looks like they're playing the game to win 1-0. And when you go back to this game on Sunday night, there was no thought, and there rarely is a thought with this team when they score, especially when they score in the second half, to going and getting another one and putting the game away. Like, that goes out the window. And that's, to me, where I know there's this world soccer thing that you get your goal and you park the bus. All the money in this team is up top. All the money in this team, the best players on this team are up top, especially right now with Brenner on the team. This is like that old thing in the NFL where, okay, you've got a lead. You got to run the ball to protect the lead.
Right.
Not if you've got, Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or the best quarterback. You don't take the ball out of your best player's hands, even if conventional wisdom is, well, you got to run the ball. Like, I don't understand this fascination in this league, especially with this team. And hey, we've got Kevin Denke, Evander, and Brenner. Like, what we really need to do is sit back and absorb all the pressure. Like, no, put your foot on the gas, man. Your best players are attackers. Go attack. Go attack. Like, don't ever take your foot off. But like every time, and like it goes back to this question Laurel asked this week too about, nervous energy in the stadium. Yeah, there's nervous energy in the stadium because the team completely abandons playing offensive soccer as soon as it gets a late lead and is content to just get peppered and hope the other team doesn't find a breakthrough. And that's just, I don't get that fundamentally, but that's, again, what Grayson was saying. That's who this team is. That's who Pat Newton wants to be. I just fundamentally don't agree with it.
Something else I want to point out is, Evander has as many goal contributions in MLS right now through 32 games as Acosta had his 2023 MVP season. It's the exact same distribution too. 17 goals, 14 assists.
Wow.
And Denke has 14 goals. That's more than anybody else other than Lucho had on the 2023 team. Brandon Vasquez had 8. But when you go down the list, though, at 2023, you also have Baji had 5. Barrial had 5. Bupenza had 5. Santos had 4. Moreno had 4. Mascara, Obi, and Arias all had 2. And, as far as multiple goal contributors this year, it's Evander Denke. Dotto has 5. Buka and Brenner have 3. Or Shadow has 2. And that's it.
Yeah. It's
and so it's the top guys are performing, I think, to what you could reasonably expect. I mean, you could say Denke should be higher up in the Golden Boot list, but like 14 is like, there have not been a lot of players for FC Cincinnati who have scored more than 14 in a season. Brenner did it, Lucho's done it, Evander's done it, and Vasquez did it. Right? And so,
did any of those do it in their first year with the team?
No.
I would assume no.
No, Lucho didn't. Lucho had 7 his first year.
Everything about this is all one song, though, is that you have incredibly talented players that are able to overcome this team's inability to generate good chances. Like Dom Baji, when he scores a goal, it's probably because you got Dom Baji into a really good position and generated a high XG opportunity. Same thing with a center back scoring a goal most of the time. Same thing with your role players. If you can't, it's like Corey Baird. Like we all ran Corey Baird out of town, me leading the charge, because Corey Baird couldn't score goals. Why? Because Corey Baird needs you to get him into high XG opportunities in order to maximize his skill set. And of course, the role players are struggling to deliver on this team because this offense and the tactics this team employs doesn't put them in good positions to score. It requires players who have an elite skill set to do a lot of really complicated things, like one of those Brenner goals a couple weeks ago, where it requires him taking Evander threading a ball through 3 defenders through a narrow window, Brenner taking a one-touch control strike with his off foot. Like, there's a short list of players in this league that can do that. There's a short list of players in this league that can deliver that ball. And if you're not occasionally getting just a random ass opportunity for, Pavel Buka at the top of the box, or a random ass opportunity for Yuya Kubo if he's healthy, or, Sergio Santos when he was here. Yeah, those guys aren't going to do anything to score goals on their own. They're not paid to do that. It's not in their wheelhouse. And that's the flaw of the offense right now, is it ain't generating those opportunities. And that's why our underlying metrics suck.
Well, when's the last time we've had a header like Paintstill had against us, where he's just completely unmarked in the box, or a goal as easy as Surridge had against us for Nashville? And it's, I think, again, to go back to like what Doyle wrote up this weekend, the offense does not bring the ball up quickly. I know Noonan doesn't sound like he really wants them to. He wants them to be patient, but they don't take advantage of a defense that isn't set yet. They allow a defense to get set, and they don't really seem to do much to unsettle the defense, through ball movement, like some other teams in the league are able to do, right? To get the defense like out of shape. So they're having to thread passes because, the other teams, like, these are all like Orlando doesn't have a single player on the defensive side who makes as much as even Teenage Hadabi, right? But they're still professional soccer players. And so, like, if you let them get into shape and you don't force them out of it, they're going to be pretty hard to score on.
Yeah.
And then the other thing Doyle said was that we're then bringing guys up to try to get numbers. And then when we lose the ball, the counter is we're at a disadvantage on the defensive side, and other teams are not moving slow. They're going fast.
Right.
Yeah. All the best teams in this league go fast. And this team, when it has chosen,
certainly, like, when there's opportunities to do it, right? They create opportunities where they can go fast and then they take them.
Like, this team has looked the most dangerous consistently when it is playing with pace and it's playing with tempo and it's running. We talked when Evan was on the show a couple weeks ago about he makes a quick restart on a rolled through ball up to Pavel, and it creates an odd man break and they get a great scoring opportunity. They've had some great scoring opportunities for Brenner on the break. The aversion this team has to running, getting out in transition, and playing quickly is mind-boggling to me. They were at their best in 22 when they were on the break and when they moved the ball quickly. And Grayson's dead on. It's that any team in MLS, if you give them the opportunity to get their numbers back behind the ball and get into position and get set, they're going to be hard to break down. Like the best goals and the best teams in this league, they thrive on chaos. They thrive on when you're out of position.
Yeah.
When we're moving quicker than you are because the ball moves quicker than people. We're getting numbers over the top. When's the last time we had a 1v1 break on this team? Like where a ball got over the top and somebody got behind someone.
2 games ago, that's how we scored both of our last two goals.
Like over the top ball?
Not over the top, but they ended up being one-on-one runs.
Right.
But yes. But it was against a bad team, sure, but is also one of the better times that this team has looked is because they were doing those types of things. And yeah, Chief, like to your point, like we've got a lot of talent on the offense. So yeah, even if it is 3v3, you'd like to think our guys could beat them, right?
Yeah.
Like, that Evander and Brenner and Denke can outpass these guys, and Orishana rushing up and Echenike rushing up.
Just situations where situations where you're not facing a defense that have their backs to their goal and are all in formation.
Yeah.
I mean, the belief generally is that 3v3 is a attacking advantage.
Right.
Because the defense is on their heels and the offense controls the ball and decides where it goes.
Yeah, dictates. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, to that point, yeah, at any point this team could decide, I think, that they could change and we're going to play a counterattacking style. They could do that tomorrow. They could say, we're going to focus on counterattacking, and I think this team would be instantly better. Instantly. Because they have Denke is fast. Like, he is fast. He's physical. He's the kind of person who can muscle a defender off the ball in a 1v1 situation and either create a scoring opportunity or create the next passing opportunity. Brenner is fast and understands moving into space while he's on the run. Evander can pick passes out to these people when they're running. Echenique is fast. Luca Orishano is fast. This team, on paper, this team looks like a bunker and counter team or a defend and counter team. Yet we get picked out constantly because we move so slowly. We pass the ball aimlessly around the back line. And when that doesn't work, we decide to create a numbers advantage by loading more chaos into an already set defense, which never works. And then we're out of position for another team to counter us. Why not just let it go the other way? Why not just, absorb, steal, counter? That's when this team looked its best. It's got the players to do that. And if they decided they wanted to do that, I think they would become a better team overnight and they would become a threat in these playoffs.
Yeah. We called it the Cincinnati play, and that was a counterattacking play. Yeah.
You can play with possession and still do the things that like rattle teams. Columbus does it. Miami does it. But somebody in our Discord posted like kind of the scatter plot of our possession over time and our
points per game
over time.
Yeah, charted
and
together. Yeah,
it wasn't perfect, but if you were going to draw a line, and it wasn't like drastic either, but if you were going to draw a line that kind of generally trends both of them, it would be kind of just our possession has gone gradually up and our points per game have gone generally more or less static to down.
Yeah. It's weird. Now, this is where I think all of these criticisms generally point to Noonan, just to go back to my original question of like that's the way this team is set up. That's the way these tactics are being deployed. But I would also just point out for a moment that, yeah, the supporting cast previously got plenty of goals. And the supporting cast, particularly this year up top, was pretty bad. Sergio Santos is pretty bad. Yu Kubo has been unavailable to bad. Like, he is just now starting to come back and he's being deployed more as a midfielder again. Fine. That's good. Corey Baird was really bad for this team.
Again, though, are they bad? Or are they players where you need to have a system that creates good opportunities that match their skill set? I don't like Dom Baji isn't setting the world on fire.
No,
in DC, I think that's where he still is right now. Like, I don't think they're all role players for a reason. I think the issue remains that you're not playing in a way or using a system that gives them opportunities that match their skill level. And
I will accept that as one interpretation. The other is like Brenner has looked very good and has started scoring goals the second he's been deployed here. And dare I speak his name? This is why I think Dado is pretty good and why I think his lack of playing time is pretty baffling, because when he has had opportunities, he has scored goals. But otherwise, the rest of the supporting cast hasn't been that good. And the biggest issue, that's one smaller piece of it. The biggest issue, though, is the lack of midfielders on this team, both being deployed like out into the field. FC Cincinnati is consistently numerically overrun and can in no way, shape, or form prevent the ball moving from the opponent's defense to their attack. Like, the second the other team has the ball, we are on the defense. Like, there is no in between of them setting up their attack. And the fact that it took until, late in the window to bring in, or not late in the window, but into the summer to bring in Samuel Guidi, that the only backup to both Buka and Obi this year was a supplemental roster spot on Brian Anunga. And as far as I can tell, was therefore the only other midfielder on this team. Like, that is setting up a roster for the opposite of success.
They made Steven play a couple times,
which not great. Not a great situation when you're playing a guy who's barely old enough to shave.
Yeah, and the the lack of numbers in the midfield and the apparent commitment to the 3 center back system and the various square pegs and round holes that we've seen is, like, okay, well, like Teenage Adabi is apparently just a massive, massive miss.
Fair enough.
He's making more than every Orlando center back. Can't see the field. They have gone to Alvis Powell as the first center back sub, and they've been starting Lucas Engel at left center back. And he had never played center back anywhere in the world before he came here. That maybe he may have done it like once before he came here, but
sure, basically
never, to hedge a little bit. And which is why, like, unless they, and I know people love to speculate that they're finally, this year's the year we're going to go to, 4 at the back with 4 in the midfield.
Right.
But unless that's the plan, I don't see how you exercise Lucas Engel's option unless it's automatically been triggered.
Yeah, there's a chance.
Because I like the player. I think he's played well for us, and he's hustled and he's fought all year. But if you're looking at paying a couple of $1 million for a guy to play left center back, well, you can find a guy who actually plays left center back.
Right.
Rather than pay that much money for a left back who you're not going to play at left back.
Right. Or give the Teenage Adabi contract to a left center back worth that, who's actually going to live up to that end of the deal. I think you don't need Lucas Engel at all. There's also the weirdness of Gilberto Flores, who I don't remember, having some horrific game losing moments or anything. And yet
he had bonehead
he had a couple
player moments for sure.
Yeah, he had a couple that were pretty howlery, but he's a young player. Right. It's like
Matt Miazga passed the ball directly into the back of his own net and is a nailed on starter. Like, forgiveness for some and not for others, I find troubling as if that is in fact what's happening. But he's a healthy scratch for match day rosters.
Well, he's playing with the 2 teams tonight, so I don't think we're going to see him.
I wouldn't anticipate it. Yeah. Or even traveling. Like, that's the weird thing.
Yeah. Where's Kai Kamara been for the last 3 months? That guy was a starter. It's like, can't find him with a search warrant now.
No, we had to go find the version of Kai Kamara in the French second division to finish the year, who is younger and bigger. I finally got my first good look at Jabari at the game on Sunday.
Unit.
And it just feels like somebody looks at Brandon Vasquez and is like, we can get bigger. And they sign Kevin Kelsey, right? They look at Kevin Kelsey and they say, we can get bigger.
Yeah.
And we have one of these giant American trucks with a lift kit now.
Right.
This is how Chief gets on the team.
Because he's big in he's big in every way.
So what you're saying is
he's big and thick.
So what you're saying is we got to go find Taco Fall next year.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
If there's a genuine worry that if the ball hits his head, it's already too high.
Jabari was born in the wrong country. Because if he was an American instead of a bad soccer player, which is unfair to him, right? Instead of an unremarkable professional player, he would be Mitchell Tinsley or something.
Antonio Gates, Kent State basketball phenom.
Yes.
Tight end extraordinaire.
Yeah, the basketball tight end crossover.
That we didn't know we needed. I'm kind of with Grayson though overall on this. It's I stayed up till 4 a.m. in Europe watching this game at a bar in Amsterdam where I was losing my mind like a lunatic when Kevin Denke took his shirt off and started running around. And it's like, so this is what this is. And what's going to happen, I think, for the remainder of the year is that we're going to watch Philly win Supporters Shield, because that seems like the most likely outcome based on points. And we're going to go into the playoffs and we're going to see what happens, because I agree with Grayson. The talent's there for this team to do just about anything. I think the talent's there for this team to make a run and win MLS Cup. The talent is also there, and the setup is also there for this team to get swept 2 games and go home empty-handed after the first round. I think all options are on the table. And then at that point, we're going to have a conversation, depending on results, as to what is it that makes us think that this is going to get better in future years? Or is this cool? That's the other thought that I've had as well, is that as we sit right here, this team is in second place in the Eastern Conference, and every other sports team in this city would kill to be second place in their conference. The Reds backed into the playoffs like a moving truck because the New York Mets collapsed, not because anything the Reds did, and they're about to get just drummed out of the playoffs by LA tonight. The Bengals are what they are. Good win for the Bearcats. They're not going to go to the playoffs this year. So, I mean, like, at some point, we're going to have to ask ourselves as FC Cincinnati fans, is this enough? Are you satisfied? Are we satisfied with a team that, plays this brand of football, needs everything to go right to maybe, have a season where you win a Supporters Shield, but at the end of the day is a team that finishes probably somewhere around 2nd to 5th in the Eastern Conference, makes the playoffs every year? Because that's where I think this team is they're a very, very high floor team with the style of play that Pat Noonan plays. I need to be convinced there's a high ceiling there too, because I haven't seen the high ceiling yet.
I'll say 2 things. One is I would feel entirely different about the team. I'll admit it. I would feel entirely different about the team if they were in the exact same position, exact same points, and just had the, underlying numbers that were consistent with the place at the table. Like,
and if they were passing the eyeball test too, which I think goes 1-1.
Yeah, the eyeball. I would say, yeah, they're having a good year, and I feel good about the team going into the playoffs. Okay, but that said, like, I think anybody who says this team can't win MLS Cup is delusional.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But the other thing is, to reference your baseball analogy, or is this good enough, or how do we feel? Like, the Reds, I was excited for the Reds season when they were chasing the Mets down the stretch, right? Like, that was an exciting time.
Yeah.
And you saw the team like celebrate with champagne when they made the playoffs, which it does feel like a successful season for them, having made the playoffs. Mets fans, when they were even just like a couple of games ahead of the Reds, were melting down. Like, the season was already a failure that it was so close to them not making the playoffs.
Right. Because
of the expectations, because of the money they spent, because of the promises that ownership had made. Like, them being in the exact same position as the Reds was a failure. And I don't think those different reactions, like viewing the Reds position as pretty successful of a year and the Mets position, which same record, right?
Right.
And the Mets position as a total failure. Like, I don't think those are inconsistent. Because you have to take into account the whole context. So, like, it's in a vacuum, it's great to be second in the table. It's great to be in the playoffs. It's great to potentially go on even like a short run, but it doesn't really feel like that's what this team's. It doesn't feel like that's necessarily what we were sold this year.
It's interesting. So let me ask both of you this. We're gonna have to take the Open Cup out of it, because that required having essentially a bad year the prior year. And if Nashville wins a trophy, I think that radically alters your guys' answer here.
Yes.
would you rather have the season Nashville has had so far this year than FC Cincinnati's? You're further back in the table, but XG, I believe they're like second or third in the expected goal table. They've lost quite a few, they've lost a couple more games. They haven't seen as many wins. Would you rather be Nashville and be in sixth place and potentially drop as far as the play-in game?
I mean, that's a hard question to answer. That'd be a hard question to answer because, like, I think our talent is better than Nashville. Like, across the board, we have a better team than Nashville. I think that they're a product of they're getting more out of their talent than we're getting out of our talent. Like, if we had Nashville's talent, I would be probably in a position with thinking this is an okay result, especially if they win Open Cup tonight. That would be awesome.
Right. Although obviously winning a trophy is always going to be better.
I'm admit to being deathly curious as to how many people would show up for a U.S. Open Cup final at TQL Stadium on a weeknight. And I don't know that I would love to know the answer to that question, because in my mind, I think I would love to know that would be a raucous, sold out affair. The attendance numbers for the Open Cup, literally everywhere else, often paint a different picture. But what I would rather have Nashville's season in this regard. I would rather walk away from this season thinking that we got everything out of the roster that we had, and that anything we didn't get, you can chalk up to, we just don't have the budget that, Inter Miami has, or FC Cincinnati has, or LAFC has, or Seattle, or name a club here that they have.
I feel pretty good about the 2022 year, right? Because the team grew, they ended better, they did much better than they started, and it did feel like they got the most out of the roster, and they were by the end of the season, I think, legitimate MLS Cup contenders, not favorites by any means, but could have taken down Philly. I think we're good enough to have done so. And then you go into the next year and you say, there's clear room for improvement. So you think next year could be even better, right?
Yeah.
And whereas this year, it's like, we know they maximized the roster. We know they really stretched the roster spend to fit everybody on the team. There's already question marks about what hard decisions are going to be made on who to keep and who to let go, and how you're going to sign players to replace things. I don't want to get into that. I'm not really.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be really thinking about those things right now, but it's going to be hard to say, this team has massive room for improvement next year.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you're going to have to work a bit harder.
Yeah.
To decide where did they fall short and how can they fix it, which I think is a distinction between how we're going to think about our season and how Nashville fans are going to be able to think about their season. And like Chief said, they are getting the most out of their players. We spent way more for Evander.
So hang on,
than for Sam Surridge is almost a golden boot thing, and it costs a third of what Denke cost.
So in terms of salary spend, I'm going to have to set aside transfer fees because I don't know all of Nashville's transfer fees off the top of my head. In terms of salary spend, they are almost penny for penny identical to us.
But that's Walker's making money this year that Miles is going to make next year.
How much are we spending on defense? We spend $5.7 million. How much do they spend on defense? $5.65 million. How much
do we have to add 2.5 to that?
How much do we spend on forwards? $10 million. How much do they spend? $9.7 million. I'm just saying, they have a nearly identical, again, salary.
Do you have Brenner on your chart yet?
No.
Yeah, and again,
and I don't have anybody that they've added.
Do you have TAM player Ayub Jabari on your chart yet?
I do not have any of Nashville's players as well. I'm just saying, for most of the season, we have been operating with very similar priorities in terms of salary spend, quantity of salary spend, and distribution of salary spend.
Yeah, I think part of that is definitely, though, they brought over Hani pretty cheaply and have given him, I think, two new contracts.
Yeah.
So like his salary is much higher than what they signed him at.
But I also think the theory of Nashville is very similar to, if not the Cincinnati of this year, certainly Cincinnati next year, which is an incredible attacking midfielder, a really good striker, and one solid, incredible center back. And that's how they've distributed this. And I think that is still largely the case of how this team, FC Cincinnati, is set up right now with the wild card that is Brenner.
Yeah. I'm excited, though. I am, like, legitimately, because I don't know what to expect. Like, legit. Like, there is no result here that will surprise me.
Yeah.
And at any point, I really do believe this team has the talent. I believe this team has the talent to win out. I believe this team has the talent to just absolutely throttle anyone. It's just a question of whether or not it's going to happen. The talent is there. The attacking talent on this team is elite. It is elite. Like, the fact that we're not scoring 3 goals a game or blowing teams out on XG with the talent of players that we have on here it feels like a very, very fixable problem. And at any point, I feel like it could get fixed. And that gives me a tremendous amount of hope going into this, it's way different than I felt last year. Whereas last year they struck out at the window, getting a player, a goal scorer. They struck out, replacing Aaron Bupenza. This year, give me Brenner, Denke, and Evander. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
I'm fairly confident the Reds just scored 2. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
Yes, they did.
They certainly did. And Grayson's ahead of me on the broadcast, which is exciting.
I have the game cast up and was seeing the little base runner starting to move.
People clamoring for Sal Stewart to start. They're looking pretty good right now.
I would love the Reds to do this. This would be, but like the Reds would also be kind of like, it's a similar situation. I think that, there's a lot of talent on this Reds team, but it's pitching. If they can get past this Dodgers team, I mean, give me Andrew Abbott and Hunter Green pitching in any series twice. I like the chances. They just got to win tonight.
Yeah.
Get the ball to Abbott tomorrow.
There you go. Well, let's head on over to part 2. Let's look ahead to the weekend matchup, and we'll get you on out of here. Before we go any further with the episode, I got a quick question for you. You ever heard of the U.S. women's national team? You ever heard of the U.S. men's national team? Well, then you're going to want to keep listening, because get this. We have an offer for you are not going to want to miss at the official U.S. Soccer Shop, which is where you're going to go for all of your U.S. men's and women's national team gear. The Post is going to be able to offer you 10% off any of the merchandise except for jerseys. Okay, let's not get carried away, except for kids. But there is a ton of cool stuff there. Okay, they're doing a new 1993 throwback collection. You got hoodies and beanies for the fall. It's getting chilly, and you're gonna want some of the winter gear, because there are matches coming up on 10/10 against Ecuador in Austin, or Australia in Commerce City. Believe me, you're going to want a beanie in Commerce City on 10/14 versus Australia. That is for the U.S. men's national team. The women, they play on 10/23 against Portugal in Chester, 10/26 against Portugal in East Hartford. Again, hoodie, beanie weather. And on 10/29, Halloween Eve against New Zealand, Kansas City, Missouri. Use promo code POST. That's all one word, all caps, for 10% off at checkout. This is a very real deal. I don't know how to emphasize that enough. This is a real deal you can use. You can go use the link in the description or use the code at checkout, and we will hook you up. So a huge thank you to U.S. Soccer, and I think you're going to have a lot of fun shopping on the official U.S. Soccer Shop. All right, we are back, and there is a match this weekend. FC Cincinnati heads to the illustrious Sports Illustrated Stadium in Harrison, New Jersey, where they will face off against a team that is, well, out of the playoffs for the first time in like 17 years, if you don't include the play-in game that they got 2 years ago. So I don't know how excited the New York Red Bulls players are going to be to want to play in this game.
I mean, a bunch of them are trying to figure out like if they can break their lease.
Well, they can't get out. The government shut down, so.
That's true.
I don't know if New York Housing Court is part of the federal government shutdown. Maybe.
Yeah.
Or New Jersey Housing. I don't know where they live.
Yep.
But actually, they all live in Northern Virginia. It's super weird. I don't know why they do that. So
they all have HUD vouchers.
Right. The entire team lives in one team-owned Section 8 complex.
Well, Zoran will change that. He'll make it so a Red Bull player can afford rent in New York.
That would have been a funny campaign video. No, I don't expect New York Red Bulls honestly to put up a fight. I could see New York Red Bull 2 being rolled out against FC Cincinnati. I've not paid attention to what New York Red Bull 2 has actually been doing over the last week. I don't even know if
they're playing them right now.
Are we playing them right now? Be curious to see how many.
Yeah, we're up 2-1 in the 89th minute.
Love that for us. So I don't know. Maybe they're not trying that hard. Maybe they've got everything to play for, right? Maybe there's Jurgen Klopp seems to be taking a little bit more of an interest in this team. Maybe people are playing for contracts. Weird team for New York Red Bulls. Very weird team. Went to MLS Cup last year. Kind of fluky. Everybody sort of thought they just needed to add a couple of attacking pieces. They'd be on their way. Didn't really pan out that way. I think this
they added the problem was they said we added a bunch of names in our attack, but they were all on the same guy.
That's exactly. We got so many names and a big name, but
a long guy. Yeah. What do you mean we can't score goals? We signed 2 players. It's like he's one guy, 4 names.
You're talking about Choupo-Moting?
Yes.
Yeah. What is it? Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting? Like there's
yes.
It's like
we
Ben
got
Jarvis.
We got Choupo-Moting.
Yeah.
That's a whole front line.
Right. It's like Ben Jarvis Green Ellis was a backfield in and of himself.
I was about to make a Ben Jarvis Green Ellis joke too. Damn.
But Eric Maxim Chupa and Moting is like a Danish Eurovision group. It's like the 4 members of like a Danish Eurovision group.
They're actually pretty good.
Yeah. You're going to see Eric Maxim.
We're called Bullfire.
Industrial rock band from Eastern Europe.
So what do we think? FC Cincinnati did not control its destiny going into the Orlando match. It still does not control its own
doesn't
destiny.
Control its destiny
yes.
now. Like
now what we're rooting for is very unlikely. Some combination of Philly not winning 2 games. Whatever combination you want, that's the only way FC Cincinnati is winning.
By that you mean Philly not winning either of
yes. Either
its
of
2 remaining games.
Yes, and right. FC Cincinnati winning out.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yes.
Like Philly can tie twice, Philly can lose and tie, Philly can lose twice. What Philly can't do
is win one.
Win one of them.
Any of those games.
Thankfully, Philly has 2 tough matches against NYCFC and Charlotte. Teams that they have struggled against.
What you're telling me is we need a second situation for a Cincinnati sports team to inexplicably have the team in front of it keep losing.
I'm just saying I've seen this movie before very recently.
So I, actually. Yeah.
Is FC Cincinnati going to win this one?
This game?
This game, New York Red Bulls.
I think we have to say yes.
I have a radical thought. Like, why wouldn't you just start rotating, giving people time off? Like, at this point, if you're not going to win the Shield, Who gives a shit? Like,
There's an international break coming up.
There's an
Just
international
getting
break.
2 weeks off.
And Cincinnati doesn't have to play a lot of our competitors and compatriots will play, including Orlando and Vancouver. I don't remember if Philly plays in the international break, but there's some other games out there happening.
Philly doesn't, because only teams with games in hand are going to be playing.
Oh, good
like
call.
Vancouver, I think, has a game in hand still.
Yeah.
Miami. Yeah.
Yeah. Miami, Vancouver, Orlando, Seattle, for whatever it's worth. LAFC will play twice in this stretch. So,
Yeah.
Vancouver plays twice as well in there.
They should win. There's nothing there's nothing to play for at this point. Like, the Red Bulls should be on autopilot. This isn't like a relegation type situation where teams just fight on the way down or any of that nonsense. So they better win.
Do we see the same lineup? Is this our lineup now? Assuming certain individuals aren't healthy.
I mean, one of two things needs to happen. Either you need to use these games to really figure out if there's something different you want to do, which it's awfully late in the season if that's the case. But even still, these are two games that really probably don't matter a whole lot in terms of where things are. I mean, in theory, it's like, yeah, you're required to say you should want the highest seed possible, but this team is ass at home. So it's like, I don't know that that's exactly, the people who want that are, the suits upstairs. Like, the business people want more home games to sell tickets. But in terms of like actual competitiveness, I don't think it matters one way or the other. And I think that this team is, I think this team is so matchup dependent and there's so many moving parts below them. I don't think you can even play the matchup game to get the matchup that you want. So either your goal should be to pick the lineup and stick with it and just try to get some momentum going in the playoffs, or this should be your time to get weird, get some other guys some minutes in the types of roles you might see them utilizing in the playoffs. I don't know what that means exactly, but
I don't think I'm interested in a different starting lineup this week than we've seen the last two.
Yeah.
But I am interested in early subs and looking for opportunities, regardless of game state, to, like, assuming they're cleared, rotate in Matt and Obi for minutes.
Yeah.
Because like I doubt either one is going to be really deemed ready to start this game, but we need to get them back in at some point, just because both of them gives us a better chance to win an MLS Cup playing than not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not the time to like be, I mean, you don't really want to like be overly risky, right? Because you're talking about players' health and stuff.
Right.
But it's not the time to be overly cautious either.
Right. All right. You got to push it a little bit. Give them 20 minutes at the end here. See what it looks like.
You know what I would like to see? If Obi is able to go 20 minutes, I want to see him and Guidi on the field at the same time.
Ooh.
I want to take Pavel down for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also, I mean, assuming we have a lead, you could put in Obi and Anunga and rest both of them. And all of a sudden, you have what looks like midfield depth.
But aren't you in? I think, though, I'm with Chief, if I understand him right.
You want to see what it looks like.
You want to see Obi and Guidi together to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
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 I want to start thinking about some decisions for next year, quite honestly.
Mm-hmm.
About
and decisions for the playoffs.
Decisions for the playoffs. Say, what are your options going in? What does this look like? What if I need to chase a game? What does this look like? If I need to protect a lead, what does this look like?
Yeah.
That's like, so I'm not saying like, rest the starters entirely, but like there are, if you go into these games with the mindset of we're already in the playoffs, we're already going to have a pretty decent seed most likely, and we're also probably not going to win Supporters Shield. You can use this almost like they do in the preseason in the NFL. Let's work on some situational football. Let's work on some situational things as to how we want to deploy people. I had a radical thought earlier today that what if you use one of your 5 subs on a goalkeeper and tried to put a fresh body in at the end of the game that's not as mentally worn out from seeing so many high XG opportunities.
Okay. And also, like, I think that with a potentially three game round one series,
Mm-hmm.
you do have some decisions to make about how you think about that middle game. Like, I think first game at home, especially, whatever we think the best team is that we can field,
Absolutely.
going for the win, right? Second game,
you
may think about some rotation to start.
Yeah.
And saying, can we hold it and then bring on, fresh legs to take it? Or if we get blown out, we just rest guys, right?
Yeah. Interesting ideas. So let's predict it. Let's throw actual numbers out there. Chief, how's this one ending?
1-0. They got to show me. They got to show me they can do it before I believe otherwise.
Win's a win, baby.
I'm going 3-2 to the FC.
Ooh, I will go 2-1 for the FC. Why not? Late garbage goal.
It'd be good to just get it'd be good to get a win in Red Bull Arena. Just because, those
Sports
guys.
Illustrated Arena, sir,
Whatever.
excuse me.
Whatever. Just like, I'm always a big fan of, like, what is it? Like when my competitor is drowning, I stick a hose down their mouth. Like,
yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the blood feud. Like, at
Yes.
least we forget that this is a rivalry match for us, and we need to.
Just more cement is the answer right here.
Choupo-Moting will go missing.
Yeah. And his buddy Eric Maxim as well.
Well, there you go. Oh, also just a quick update. I lost the bet, but not because of anything Columbus did. They have clinched the playoffs. They will at least be in the play-in game, and I would even say probably will be in the play-in game.
Yeah. Well, fuck Columbus.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They are a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. I think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.